Howdy, howdy. We are back with more action. Rocket League. No, I'm kidding. We're back with Overwatch action. It's Power Esports Conference. We had Baylor last night. We have Baylor again tonight, this time with Overwatch. And, you know, if you were here, like, literally 15 minutes ago, nothing's changed. Still the same two people on the desk. How you doing, Simon?
Good, Ryan. How is it going? It's been a long time.
It has. You know, I haven't seen you in forever, it feels like. Yeah, I mean, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah,
it's good to see you.
I feel a reconnection happening right now. It's crazy.
It's good to be back, right? We got Overwatch. Obviously, this is the game that I'm a lot more familiar with. This is the game that Carson and I typically cast together, and Simon has replaced him indefinitely. So, Carson, we love you. We do hope you get better. He has the flu right now, so you know we hope you and Jack. Jack also has the flu. So our casters, stay away from me, but get better. Otherwise. Have some replays from last week from the beautiful Overwatch matchup. It was a close series on match number 1. Syracuse ended up winning that one, but unfortunately Boise State turned it around, ended up taking that victory for themselves. Syracuse, they had a little bit of a rough season. They went from Ohio State to Utah to Boise, not really winning any of them, and then they decided that they're going to play in the CECC qualifiers. That was a couple weeks ago, and they didn't have the best of luck. They went up against the 3rd ranked team in the country, St. Clair, and I mean, not much you can do there. And then they came in a week later after playing Boise State to play in the ACEC qualifiers, where unfortunately I don't think top 2 get a bid. I could be entirely wrong, but they ended up playing some really strong teams there. Georgia Tech ranked 17 in the country, and NC State ranked 6 in the country. And they put themselves very, very strong opponents there. They got themselves against NC State. They beat Georgia Tech not once, but twice, a Game 5 banger, putting themselves in the grand finals against NC State, where they ended up losing 3-1 there. So this Syracuse squad has had a hefty few weeks, but now they play Baylor, which Baylor's had a little bit more of that sort of learning curve to them this past couple weeks and past semester in the PEC, where Syracuse kind of gets to take a little bit more of a break. They're not playing a top 20 team in the country right now.
Yeah, it's about time. I mean, they've been battle tested, like you said. It's been a good and tough schedule, but they've learned a lot of good takeaways for this group to come into this matchup against Baylor, look to take care of business. And really quick, going back to that ACEC qualifier game, they showed up against NC State. A lot of us, you and I both predicted a 3-0 sweep for NC State. We don't want to dwell on that too much. But Syracuse did get a map, and it was a very convincing win as well. They looked really comfortable and nearly took another map on Flashpoint as well. Yeah,
on that Flashpoint, it was 3-1. Right, for Syracuse. I mean, it was a phenomenal job for them, and they came out on a little bit of a different composition earlier on. I mean, Syracuse, back when I was their coach a year ago, they were really much a fans. Get yours today. They were fans on the off meta, right? They like to sort of predict what was going to be next. And obviously with predictions comes problems sometimes, but sometimes it works well. In Syracuse, they ended up playing this more brawl-style centric composition with the Mizuki and the Lucio with the Ramatra, and it took NC State off guard. They played incredibly well with that composition. That's why they ended up winning that Flashpoint 3-1. We might see that tonight against Baylor. Also, you might see the more typical, the Diva, Lucio Kiri with the Tracer and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens tonight for Syracuse. The bans being Reinhardt for Syracuse and Vendetta for Baylor. So Vendetta, a character that we've seen multiple times through CECC to ACEC to last week to the week before to Azer. Vendetta's not a fun character to have in the game.
No, not at all. She's so oppressive and such a strong DPS. But another thing as well, you don't want to see not just Vendetta, but Azer on Vendetta. Such a strong and capable player on that hero. And the amount of pressure he produces, you now have to look at him and maybe a Tracer or a May or something, depending on what your team comp is. He's versatile. He can work with it. But obviously, smart ban by Baylor do not want to deal with Azer on Vendetta just yet.
No, and you know the other thing is Vendetta is definitely a sort of a skill check of a character. It's like, you know, I respect that you're good at Vendetta, but on the off chance that your Vendetta is better than my Vendetta, we just lose. I mean, that is how powerful Vendetta is. Even with the nerf that went into Vendetta a week or two ago, she is still a very, very powerful character, one that can still headshot with a sword. Still don't know how that works, but, you know, Reinhardt can't headshot with a hammer, so I'm a little... I'm kind of sad about that. You know, Brig can't headshot, but I guess Vendetta can. But, you know, I'm not a game developer, so there's clearly something they know that I don't. Syracuse, though, not able to play that Vendetta. Baylor, a good ban from there, and Syracuse banning that Reinhardt kind of gives them that protect on the tank inherently. Is like, hey, we're going to ban this Reinhardt. We're not going to play him. We know you're not going to play him, but we make sure that we get to protect our Diva and our Ramatra.
Yeah, and they're so strong as well on Diva. We've seen it a lot, especially during the most recent matchup. So oppressive, so much depth, and just getting able to dive in the backline. You combine that with a Tracer or combine that with any other DPS, you can get to the backline and deal with it. It's so difficult for those backlines of the other team to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, this Syracuse composition, right? Another big thing for them is, you know, Zarya is a very powerful character at the moment. Lunar, definitely a player to look out for whenever they do get to play Zarya. Those top 3 tanks have typically been that Zarya, Diva, and Orisa. Orisa, the poor horse, is not allowed to be played right now because she's just not really good. Diva and Zarya are just better tanks at the moment, but we get ourselves on the Lijiang Tower, a collegiate special here, and it's going to be Genji, Cassidy, Zarya, Kiriko, Lucio for the side of Syracuse. Baylor looking a little bit different, however.
Yeah, unique team comp here for Baylor. You get a Venture, you get a Hazard. We've seen Hazard a few times throughout the PEC, but usually not great against a Zarya. You're going to have to really capitalize on those dives, going to be able to do a bit of survivability with the Reflect, but a lot of pressure to optimally play Hazard.
Yeah, I mean, 2 kills go in. Synchros able to find 2 on that Sojourn there. Saint and Mac are going to go down. That's a lot of damage gone. But Lunar sitting on this point at 70 charge is going to be something you do not want to be condensed into here. The cleanse goes out. The Hazard falls low. Azar is able to find Synchros. There's a lot of damage gone for their side. Azar keeps the deflect up. The Maz goes down on the Kiriko. Lunar still alive. The Lucio falls down. Azar finds that third. Mac switching over to that. Emre finds the Hazard there. Lunar going to be late to the fight, but the point goes to Syracuse.
And Mac on Emre, we saw it a lot a couple days ago at ACEC. He is so effective with a hit scan, and with how oppressive Emre is as just his ultimate, his mobility, and just his damage overall. It's a lot to deal with if you're Baylor.
It really is, right? I mean, you have that ability to sort of move with that ADS without any movement reduction, and we see Mac is going to be able to put in a lot of pressure on that back line here. Saint takes the win over Praise Kiwi there. Syncrease finds theirs onto Saint. Lunar finds one on a Soviet Lemon on the Hazard. Lunar, another one there onto the Sojourn. The Venture finds one, but Mac finds the trades. Kills on either side. Maz, the only one that lives, and Syracuse is going to end up winning that fight here. Mac gets blocked out for a second. Going to be able to find their way out. They will not, as Soviet Lemon on the Hazard able to find them. And now it's going to be Syracuse backing up on point a little bit. Graviton Surge almost online for the side of Lunar. They might be able to use it soon as we're going to see a Hazard goes in. There goes the Surge, finds 2. 2 go down. It's going to be that third looking for the shot. Hazard goes in. Going to be able to find Lunar. Will be Synchros on that Sojourn now. 51% Syracuse in counting. B-Dog on this flanking side finds 1. These are able to find the other one, and the Stragglers fall.
And Azer's been such a problem as well. He just pops up out of nowhere and assassinates whoever is straggling a bit behind for Baylor. And that Graviton Surge was huge as well for Lunar getting the pick on the Kiriko, and Lucio almost went down, but it really forced Baylor to back up even after Syracuse loses their tank.
Yeah, 70% here. Syracuse in a really good spot. Ultimate's coming online for the side of Baylor. There goes one ultimate into the Kitsune Rush, into another Kitsune Rush. 80% on the side of Zarya. There goes Saint falling down on that Lucio. Blade ready to go, but Lunar falls really low here. Lunar able to find one. Here comes the Blade. Gets shot by the Sojourn. There goes the Lucio beat as well to stabilize the team. Saint does have one of their own. It's going to be the rest of Baylor looking to push on to point here. Lunar keeping it rather busy on this right side. Here comes the ultimate coming out from Mac on the Emre, looking for one, finds one, looks for the second, finds the second. Saint able to boop off the edge, and it's going to be Syracuse with no contest going to win point number 1.
And that's such a difficult spot for Baylor to find themselves in. Lemon got picked so quickly for Baylor, and as a result, Syracuse just jumped on top of it. When you have your tank and the other player doesn't, Lunar put that pressure on, and then that ultimate by Mac able to fly over the walls, and you go into this choke point where you're right on the map edge. Lucio feasts in those situations, gets the boop kill there for Saint.
Yeah, a really good job for Syracuse to capitalize on that point, and you sort of see that change up, right, with the Sojourn to the Emre. You get just a little bit more pressure coming out from that Emre, a little bit more damage output from that character, and then the ultimate is just a ray beam of death.
Yeah, it's so oppressive, and you really can't do anything about it because he flies around, right? It's not like you can really duck in, and you have to get somewhere to be alive, but that's exactly what he wants to do, is get you into a choke point because it does have AoE as well.
Yeah, and Synchronous has been someone to look out for on the side of Baylor on that Sojourn. We see Costa switching over to the Echo, trying to keep in a little bit more pressure on Lunar with those bubbles, force them out as much as they can. But Lunar just shooting down this Hazard. Cleanse already used the side of Baylor. There goes the sticky bombs coming in from the Echo. Synchronous falls to Saint. They're all in a tiny room. They're all trapped together. The rest of Syracuse, they're going to be able to brawl this one out. Azer finds one. It's just a Lucio trapped in the room. Body block. Saint finds them, and Syracuse is going to capitalize and grab the first point.
And this is where Hazard, especially in this matchup, is really going to struggle. He doesn't have that survivability. He has the mobility, but when he gets that oppression that can be produced by Syracuse's team comp, it's really hard to stay alive. It's really hard to turn the pressure back onto Syracuse. And as a result, that slow chip away from Syracuse eventually just turns that entire team into mush.
Yeah, and now, I mean, Lunar is going to hold close here. 90 charge to their name. They want to hold as close as they possible so they can keep that charge in their favor. Azer falls a little low. It's taken down by Perez. Kiwi on the Juno switches out over trades on that side. Lunar is the one who goes down in return. Syracuse now going to be back. Hazard lives through. Saint trying to find their way back out of this fight. They will do so. The point still in the favor of Syracuse. It's a bridge fight here as Azer comes back on this Genji here. Emre for Mac looking for something. Grenade goes in, not going to find the connect. The Hazard goes in on that left side. Looking on to the Lucio, not going to be able to find them. There goes Synchronous falling low. Going to be able to capitalize on the point, but Mac finds the kill. Flip over for the side of Baylor here, and Lunar comes back to the fight already at 100 charge to their name. Beautiful if you are a Syracuse fan. The Hazard alone on this point. Azer looks for the Juno as well. Forced out the Echo. Beam, something to be aware of. You cannot deflect that, but Syracuse going to get this point. And now Syracuse looking to see if they can get the rest of these kills here. There's Mac. There's the Graviton Surge! And that's going to be a team kill for Syracuse.
What a disgusting combination from Lunar and Mac. Got them into that corner, and that 1-2 punch for Emre and Zarya is just too gross to deal with if you're Baylor. And Syracuse doing such a good job of continuing to take control and not let Baylor really get any space.
Really good job from them to keep themselves in the lead and only flipping point for 9 seconds during that engage. Really, really good for Syracuse. 2 support ults for them, but a bingo board coming up online for Baylor here. There goes the wall from the Hazard. Here comes the ultimate. Traps a lot of the players. Gonna be able to find one. Praise Kiwi and B-Dog get traded out respectively. There goes Mac on the Emre. Azer looks for one, can't quite find it. Tries to find the other one in the spawn, able to find them. Azer and Lunar in enemy territory here. Costa is able to find Lunar 90% for the side of Syracuse here. Azer does have this blade. Playing patient, going to be spotted out by the Hazard here. 94%. Baylor needs to look to touch point here. They will do so. It's going to trigger overtime as Mac is going to switch over to this Tracer to get the contest. There they are. The overtime triggered. Syracuse 1 fight territory to win this, but a lot of ultimates ready for Baylor.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates for Baylor, and both support ults used in a losing fight for Syracuse, so it's going to take a little while to build those up. They're going to have to stay alive, try and just continue to poke damage as well. But Syracuse losing Lunar again early in the team fight, and that's where Hazard's ability of just mobility and pressure with his jump can really be felt.
Yeah, if you're Syracuse, just look to back up here, reset. You don't want to put yourself in too much of a scary position. That Ray coming out from Praise Kiwi on the Juno is something that Syracuse doesn't want to be put into, but unfortunately you can only engage with the Azer ultimate. If you can get rid of that Juno early, it's going to be great. And Mac keeping pressure on the point, looking to flip it if they can. The Juno falls low. They know they need to target them. There goes the overclock and the Ray. There goes the blade as well. Azer not going to be able to find it. They fall off the edge. They can't quite find the kill. It's going to be a double boot for Saint, though. It's going to be trades back on. B-Dog falls. There goes Mac. It's going to be in return. Baylor has the control of the man advantage, but Syracuse flips point. There goes the grab, keeping the Hazard unavailable to touch the point. Saint finds the Echo. There goes the Juno as well. It's just the Hazard alive. Syracuse cleans this one up, and that's going to be 2-0 for Syracuse. 1-0 lead in the series.
Saint and Lunar, are you kidding me? They just basically 2v5 that fight. Double boop kill is huge for the Lucio, and then just staying alive for Lunar, eventually able to pick the Juno and isolate Hazard. That's exactly what you need to do in that situation. We're not going to talk about Azer. We're not going to talk about what just happened. But overall, Syracuse, fantastic job to come out of the gate strong.
You know, sometimes it happens. You think you're going to get the kill, you get the dash reset, and you're just a little wide. It happens. But this double boop kill was absolutely phenomenal from Saint. Boops count as 2 kills. Did you know that?
I did not know that. How fun.
Yeah, Boops count as 2 kills. So if you ever wonder why, you know, someone stole your play of the game in a match and it's only 1 boop kill, and you're like, I killed 5. Yeah, well, that boop kill counts as 2. So, you know.
And then, like, plus cool points, you know.
Yeah,
all
cool
that.
points.
You know, it's Lucio, it's a skating guy, so yeah, I get it.
I mean, he's a frog.
Yeah.
He's a little frog who is.
A lot of benefits.
There are. I mean, he's fast. He jumps high. He has a really funny ability that lets you speed up and take control of the game. And that's kind of what Syracuse did, is they had good control of tempo. They played really well with that Lucio. Lunar almost, I mean, even when he died and came back to fight, I mean, he was always in that 80 to 100 charge.
Yeah, and not only that, but he was also getting back so quickly as well, courtesy of the Lucio. Interesting, that Baylor didn't run a Lucio. They elected to go with the Juno and Akiri combo. So a bit of a lack of mobility. They do, of course, have the hyper ring for Juno, so there's a bit of a benefit, but not the consistent mobility that Lucio brings.
Yeah, we take a look at Saint here. Jackson Phillips from Orland, Pennsylvania, an international relations guy. If you're ever curious who that mysterious figure is that sometimes pops behind Carson and I on Valorant broadcasts, that's Saint. He likes to come around and sort of say hi to everyone. He's a lovely guy. If you ever see him on campus, go say hi to him. He is truly one of the best people ever. He is such a nice guy.
Man of the year candidate, might you say?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're having a bad day and you need some positivity in life, go talk to Saint. He will cheer you up. I don't know how he does it, but he does. And that's one of the big elements for Syracuse, right? Is sort of keeping a good mental when things go down. Obviously, you went 2-0, so you don't really need to worry about your mental, but you know, there are two elements, right? It's not only a matter of, you know, saying, hey, let's calm down, you know, we did good, but it's also, hey, we're doing really, really good. Let's not get greedy, right? Let's stay locked in. Let's continue to do what we did, and we play it really, really well. Syracuse, a really good job this past map, and they're going to look to continue to do it here going into game number 2, 1-0 in this series of this best of 5, and Syracuse, really good job. Baylor, the Sojourn coming out from Syrnix is really, really good, and I think that's really something they need to continue to look for.
Yeah, 100%. Baylor got some picks, had opportunities to turn it around, but the DPS pressure, especially by Asia, initially made them really worried about the Genji, and then Mac followed up, especially with that Emery. My goodness, at the start of that Garden point was so good at pressuring them into that corner. We saw what happens when you get Baylor all clumped up. That's not what the team comp's supposed to be about. And that's where Syracuse really capitalizes, isolating them into these tight corners, made it really awkward.
Yeah, really good for Syracuse. Next map, I believe, is going to be Kings Row. So Syracuse didn't have the most fun on Kings Row these past couple of weekends, but overall, Syracuse is a phenomenal team when it comes to Kings Row. Their third point and second point holds are disgusting. 5-minute hold this past weekend on Kings Row on that third point, so really, really good from them. And it's going to be, Kings Row here. Syracuse bans the Kiriko. Baylor bans the Widow. You don't want to see Mac on that Widow, especially on this defensive side for Syracuse. And they're going to make sure they get rid of this Kiriko. They're going to sort of get rid of that cleanse, give the rest of Syracuse that ability to really take advantage of their debuff capabilities.
Yeah, and that cleanse is so powerful as well. Not only good at getting out of a lot of ultimates, keeping your mobility up, but also, of course, if there were to be an Ana broken out, which we've seen a few times from Syracuse as well, that's now removed, so the anti is going to be felt just a little bit more as well.
Yeah, and Syracuse, right? This is also where they played that sort of newer composition they brought out last time, that Ramatra with that Mizuki Lucio, and sort of how they enjoyed playing that, where they're able to play with that brawl, and it sure is a little bit less healing, but this is sort of Syracuse experimenting what they believe the meta is about to be, right? This Mizuki is still in a spot where he's about to be the best character in the game, and one small change to his healing output, and he will be. So Syracuse could easily walk out on this composition. On the side of Baylor, they also might walk out on a brawl of some sort, right? Ramatra, Zarya, I lied. They're going to be on dive.
Yeah, dive combat's actually going to be brawl for Syracuse instead, and really interesting as well that I think that you're going to see a Wu Yang and Ana for Baylor.
Yeah, Baylor playing for this sort of backline defense with that Wu Yang, but they're not going to be able to do so. Soviet Lemon falls down. Ooh. Maz as well. Syracuse in the spawn. They look to find all the kills they can, and they reset. A clean fight, quick fight for Syracuse.
Yeah, that's not the first impression you really want to have of your Baylor on this map. I mean, we talked about the ability of Syracuse to hold points 2 and 3 here on Kings Row, but they're very formidable at holding top teams as well on first point.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse, unfortunately, Syracuse has not had the best luck on Kings Row recently, but it is still one of their best defensive hold maps. Syracuse now going back in, looking for the kill if they can. Saint falls low, 26 HP and anti-healed, but kills on either side. Mac is the only one who goes down. Saint gets traded out. Soviet Lemon on the Winston is going to be able to find those picks, but Saint can just speed Mac back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Saint going down with Mac really isn't bad at all. It'd be way worse if B-Dog were to go down, because that mobility would be felt trying to get back to such a long respawn that Kings Row has. But now with Saint coming back, it feels like Mac will be back, and they already are.
Yeah, I mean, and you see the respect Syracuse has, right? They know that they're getting a little low. They know they need to back up. They do so. They immediately re-engage. Synchros falls down on that Sojourn. Lunar finds the Winston. Mac finds the Echo. Syracuse looking to find the rest of them here. B-Dog finds the Ana, and it's just the Wu Yang taken down by Saint, and that's a team kill for Syracuse once more.
And this was a big thing that Syracuse had to deal with in the ACEC. It was Oblivion on Echo for NC State, bringing so many problems, and Mac really wasn't able to deal with it. Now, Mac seems very comfortable dealing with Casta and just took him apart in 5 shots just consecutively in a row.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Syracuse played up against probably one of the best DPS players in the country on that Echo, and they were like, all right, yep, we know how to deal with this now, right? And that's kind of one of the things we have to worry about is Syracuse is not only a really good team, but they play really, really good teams. They get used to some of these more niche type of changes. The Doomfist swap coming in on Soviet Lemon instead of playing that Winston here. Syracuse has a lot of alts to their name that they can look to use. Lunar falls down. Mac is able to find the tank trade in return. Syracuse looking for something more. Mac finds another, looking for a third. Saint finds a third, onto the Ana. Saint finds a second, onto the Echo. Syracuse, they lose Lunar, but they use no ultimates and they win the fight.
Yeah, about to have Yahtzee for ultimates as well. Was it you that
yes,
said
it was.
this? Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure on that front. We won't out you that way. But Syracuse doing a fantastic job, and Saint playing like a DPS. I mean, it is unbelievable how much pressure he's producing. That is part of Lucio's kit, is being able to get in your face and get out just as easily. But really good job by Saint to continue that pressure.
Yeah, an early beat traded out with the tidal wave from the Wu Yang. Syracuse just basically negates that entire ultimate ability. The Sojourn goes down. The Doomfist, nothing to really do other than to charge into that backline. 1 minute left for Syracuse. The Jetpack Cat swap coming in for Toxbox Fox TTV. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Yeah, I'll pass. But how fun, Jetpack Cat coming out. You're kind of just, like you said, throw some spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. And, you know, there could be some unique plays coming out. I don't really know what he'd combine with right now with their team comp, but it would be interesting to see any utility from him.
Yeah, I mean, and a beautiful ult from the Mizuki, right? All damage that goes in transferred into healing. The overclock finds Lunar, who's just pushed a little bit too far forward. Syracuse need to back up a little bit. Saint falls low. Syracuse, no tank to their name here. A great stun goes in from Mac. There goes another stun from the Mizuki. Really well played. No tanks either side. Lunar finds his way back. There goes the blade. 2 headshots and a kill. It's going to be a beautiful sleep dart, but Mac is able to find one. Mac finds the Ana in return. You sleep my Genji, I find the headshot is what he says. 10 seconds left, and now Baylor needs to find everything they can to get themselves on the point here. Tracer swap to do so. 6 seconds left. The Doomfist going to use the ultimate just to touch on the point here, and they will be able to do so. There it goes. The Jetpack Cat falls. There goes Mac with another kill. Saint finds a Sojourn, and it's just the singular Tracer alive. B-Dog finds him, and that's a full hold for Syracuse.
And that double stun, and the really only open chance Baylor had to turn this match around. My goodness, that was unbelievable by Mac and by B-Dog to keep that defense alive. You lose Lunar super early in that fight. You immediately get rid of Doomfist as a result, and when you have an even team fight and a DPS teammates like Mac and Azer, it's so hard to do something if you're Baylor.
Yeah, I really like what Syracuse did there, right? I mean, Lunar died more than a few times there, but every time he did, Syracuse respected it. They backed up. They gave the space to Baylor, but it gave time for Lunar to come back into the fight. They were able to re-engage, and they were able to take that fight as a group of 5, sometimes even as a group of 5 versus 4, because Baylor would get a little bit too aggressive, and they would lose someone early.
And this is such a tough spot now, Baylor. I mean, Baylor's playing for a tie. They're playing for a map extension. They really can't give anything away because Syracuse has to put just 33% on the board, and they cap and win map 2.
Yeah, 1 tick is all it takes for Syracuse for a Game 2 victory, right? And they push themselves into a Game 3 looking to sweep out on this Baylor squad. A great sort of reversal for Syracuse. They haven't had the best of luck in the past few weeks in PEC or other matches, and so this would be a good momentum driver back in Syracuse's favor to really get themselves back on the board, feel a little bit better about themselves, and say, all right, you know, we're still good. We had a little bit of some mess-ups earlier, right? We look a little sloppy at times, but we're going to go back, we're going to review, we're going to get ourselves to an improvement, and we're going to play well going into Kansas next week.
A little bit of a palette reset and a Reaper coming out for Baylor, as well as a BAP, 2 heroes we haven't seen yet so far.
Yeah, the BAP and the Reaper, a lot more damage coming out from Baylor, but Syracuse, a good, clean rotate on that right side. They're going to look for someone early, but Lunar already able to sit on to point here. That shield 900 HP. They're trying to stay alive here. It's going to be Azer who falls low. Immortality field used really early, but the C9 comes in. I was watching the kill feed. I think everyone was, and Syracuse wins around game number 2 on a C9.
I can't believe that. I saw the hazard turn jump up to that high window instead of pressuring the Ramachu, was just camped in the corner, and that is brutal because you pretty much have to play perfect if you're Baylor in that situation. but the last thing you want to do is beat yourself.
Yeah, and that was just phenomenal from Syracuse, the way they played that composition. And you sort of see, right, when they experiment with this Mizuki Lucio, you do see, right, the healing definitely is a little bit lower, right? Lunar did fall a few times, but if that healing gets buffed, Lunar kind of is never going to die again.
And that ultimate is so big, too, already. I mean, you talked about it earlier. That damage coming in turns that into healing for your teammates. That is going to be so oppressive. If his healing kit gets a little bit of an increase, he's probably going to be the #1 picked hero support as a result. But yeah, already you're seeing the vision that Syracuse has. They're already experimenting with a lineup that if Mizuki gets that buff, will be meta, and they'll be so far ahead of the curve for every other team.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing, right? Syracuse, they always look to be that next best thing, and when you take a look at some of these top 20 programs in the country, that's what they do, right? They're always looking in advance of what they can do, and Syracuse, they're a team to contest with, right? They are a team that is currently top 30 in the country. They could be top 20. It really does come down to getting that sort of extra step, getting that advantage when that next patch comes out, whenever that may be, and Syracuse is doing a good job to reach that point.
Yeah, they show top 15 flashes like we talked about, getting a map off of NC State, who's top 6. They beat Georgia Tech not once but twice, who are 17 in the country. So they're already a strong group. And now with their vision of continuing to push the envelope on what could work, what teams or team comps could be the future, it's a dangerous group to keep an eye out as the season progresses.
Yeah, exactly, right? Not only that, right, taking a map off Boise, who's ranked number 12. I believe they took a map off Utah as well, which is ranked number 7. Syracuse is a squad that really is on the bubble of being one of those top 20 teams, and they just need to find their way in and get themselves there. The Overwatch Collegiate Ranking Association keeping a close eye on Syracuse, but they have held their debates, and it does come down to consistency of this roster. So Syracuse looking to 3-0 Baylor here as we move on to Esperanza for game number 3. Baylor bans the Lucio. They don't want to deal with Saint in their front lines anymore. Syracuse bans the Doomfist, just something you don't want to deal with the Doom.
Doom ban is interesting because we saw a decent amount of pressure come out on Kings Row for Baylor, but it was dealt with really well by Mac and the stun. But you also don't want to pigeonhole yourself into a specific team comp because of a tank. You really want to play your own play style. And as a result, I think that's a smart ban because Baylor really hasn't looked that great on Hazard just yet.
Yeah, and I think the other thing as well is, right, if you're going to end up running sort of a Winston or a Diva here, as Lunar probably will play Diva, you know, it gives Lunar the ability to play the character without having to worry about getting punched in the face and just every little bit of momentum you have sent away. Syracuse, as mentioned, on the Diva here. The Hazard coming back out for Baylor, and it's going to be Jetpack Cat once again. Fika is the actual name, but if you were there on the ACEC broadcast, Simon coined Carl for the name, so pick with that as you choose. Here's Syracuse already in this first fight here. The bridge control is something that is always important on Esperanza on this map. Having that control of that bridge gives you the control of the next fight. Mac on the Tracer. Azer sticking to the Symmetra here instead of swapping over. That's an interesting pick here, but Azer has been seen to play the Symmetra from time to time, and these turrets are going to be very dangerous into the dive coming out from Baylor.
Yeah, and especially in a map like Esperanza where there's a lot of these low areas and a couple spots where walls really come into play. That's where these turrets can be so much pressure because he's going to put them in spots where you have to turn to shoot them and you're giving up your defenses as a result to the other players that can shoot you in the back from that. So if the turrets are in a right spot, it's going to be so annoying for Baylor to deal with.
Yeah, Lunar finds 2, looking for a 3rd. The step comes away for the Kiriko. Maz is able to get out, but Syracuse is getting free cart progress. If I'm right, it's B-Dog just chilling over there probably. And he's just, you know, yep, there it is. It's B-Dog and it's Azer just having a good time. Yep. Hi, B-Dog. We love you. We love you. Little hearts over there as he's chilling on point, having a good time. And Syracuse, they're going to look to get checkpoint here as they're holding Baylor up in this point. It's going to be a checkpoint given. Toxbox Fox is going to be able to find a kill onto Saint, but not before Soviet Lemon on the Hazard falls down. Toxbox Fox finds another one onto Lunar. That's 2. Can I say it 3 more times? It's going to be no checkpoint for Syracuse. They're almost there. Wait, no, I lied. They actually did get the checkpoint. I just can't read. Lunar switching over to the Maga. Saint on the Jetpack Cat. They're going to look to play Brawl quite hard.
Toxbox Fox on Jetpack Cat has got to be one of the most Dr. Seussy things I've ever heard in video games.
1 fish, 2 fish. Toxbox Fox on Jetpack Cat. That's how it works. Mac, disgusting on the Echo. Kiriko falls as well to Azer here. Lunar going to be on this Maga as mentioned. Saint falls down to the Jetpack Cat. Azer finds 1 onto the Soldier, and Syracuse still just moving this cart without contention. Jetpack Cat has probably some of the best mobility in the game as you see them fly across the screen.
Yeah, and as well can pick up teammates. We really haven't seen that yet in a really big competitive scene, but we see it a lot in casual. Flying Bastion, which probably won't come out anytime soon, but There's a lot of unique things you can do with Jetpack Cat, and it really diversifies the game. Oh my goodness.
Such as a nanoed manga from the top ropes, RKO. There's no one there, but there's the swift step from the Kiriko. The rush is forced. The TP comes out to save Lunar. Phenomenally well played from Azer, is able to get out alive. It's going to be Syracuse still getting free progress on this point here. Mac stays alive. Here comes the photon barrier from the Symmetra here from the side of Azer. There goes the ultimate coming out from the Hazard. They have the TP. They get out alive. The copy onto the Maga. Lunar finds one onto the Kiriko. Falls low. Gets behind. B-Dog finds Fika on the cat there. Toxbox Fox CTD falls down. The Echo goes away on the copy. Then goes away as the character. Syracuse looking to full cap this one here in sub 3 minutes. Lunar goes in. Finds the slam onto the Sojourn. Jetpack Cat comes back in. Has the grip onto B-Dog there, but is able to live for a little bit longer. Lunar finds one. Azer finds a third. 3, 2, 1. Syracuse 3-0 to Baylor.
That is unbelievable oppression when they got around that final corner. I mean, my goodness, Syracuse matched every ultimate Baylor threw out. Baylor was trying everything to get some form of an advantage to go, but Syracuse just showing their prestige, their ability, and their comfort in those interaction matchups.
No way.
Uh-oh.
Jetpack Cat, Saint, Fika, getting the play of the game. I don't even think he got an actual final in this play of the game. Wow. That was, okay, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. That was just a mercy play of the game.
Yeah.
That's all that was.
100%.
That was a mercy play of the game.
No res.
Yeah.
No res.
Just instead picking someone up.
Yeah. But how cool was that?
It was. I mean, you had a nanoed Maga come in from the top ropes on Esperanza. I mean, that was beautiful. Syracuse, beautifully well done tonight. A 3-0 against Baylor, keeping themselves in the series here. And we'll talk about the man, the myth, the legend who's standing behind us. It's Saint. I told you, he's always back here. He's always having a good time. We love you, Saint. You're a great guy. As he slowly moonwalks back. But Syracuse is a great way to bump back for him.
Yeah, really good bounce back. A win that maybe they didn't need, but it is always good to have a win. A 3-0, very comfortable 3-0 at that. It really shows that they're a team to be taken seriously no matter who's up against them. Yeah, exactly. Syracuse, a very good team tonight. CRL earlier today, Syracuse made some waves, not just some ripples, but some waves as they take 2 games off of Maryville, the runner-ups of CRL last season. They weren't able to take the victory as they lose in game number 5, but definitely a team to look out for as we cover the rest of CRL throughout that season. Overwatch takes a 3-0 over Baylor tonight after Rocket League ended up losing to them last night. So looking for another victory tomorrow night as Baylor will take on Syracuse in Valorant. I don't know if you'll be there with me, but if you are, we'll see you guys tomorrow. So wherever you may be, morning, evening, afternoon, we'll see y'all next time.